What's up, guys? What of course you'll be seeing today is a breakdown and review of the Year 2 exotic version of the exotic scout rifle called Mida multi-tool. I was critical of it in Year 1 in my original review, which of course you can go back and watch for yourself, but a lot about the game has changed since. Not so much the rifle itself. There hasn't been a lot of tinkering and changes with regard to the rifle, and that's fine, but the game's meta, the overall, patches of different weapons, etc. have changed, and that's impacted basically, well, I'd say the utility of the weapon in other scenarios, which I'll get to shortly. To get it, you can get it a multitude of ways. You can get it through Nightfall rewards, legendary or exotic engrams, or as a King's Fall raid reward. You can also buy it from the kiosk for 150 marks, or you can buy it from Zur when he sold it, I think it was a week or two ago when it came out. I think it was for the Christmas. Anyway, the gun itself starts with a 280 base damage if you buy it from the kiosk or from Zur, and it will drop as a 310 if you're above 300 light usually. It can be fused up to a maximum of 320. The fire rate's 42%, it has an impact rating of 38, a range of 58, a stability rating of 49, a reload percentage of 100, and a starting magazine size of 21. Other key stats of note are the aim assist rate of 90 and a weapon equip speed of 100. Both of those doesn't really take a genius to figure out. Those are some of the best in the game. Quick note about the triangular sight. There's been tons of information and preliminary reports and research of people that actually really tried to get to the best and heart of this issue as to whether the tip of the triangle or the bottom of the triangle is the key point to aim when you want the best DPS in terms of headshots. Some advice suggested using the sight as a hat where the tip is above the head and the two side lines are to the sides of the person's head. So think of putting it on as a hat instead of using the tip. But apparently multiple reports have said that that has been debunked, and the tip of the triangle aimed at the person's head is apparently the best way to go about getting consistent headshots. That may change. Who knows? I can't find a perfect source. Just research it and try it out for yourself. I found the tip team seems to work the best, not so much wearing it as a hat. Mida is of the lower tier of damage per shot scout rifles, but of the higher fire rate variety. The 100 equip speed is of course the best in the game, and it's amazing for quick target acquisition, and the 100% reload double with a decent magazine size gives you unbelievable DPS potential output. The stability of 49 is the one key drawback to this weapon, but I'll address that shortly. In terms of PvP damage output, it hits for 38 on body shots and 57 on headshots. With regard to the skill tree, they're all the same because they're exotics. You have three clear choices in terms of ballistics. The first being soft ballistics, which reduces recoil but also impact. CQB ballistics, which greatly reduces recoil but also dramatically reduces range. That wouldn't be my choice. And smart drift control, which produces predictable, controllable recoil at a slight expense to range, and that one would be my choice. Because as much as range has taken a slight hit, predictable and more controllable recoil will just make you a better threat on average, even if you have to account for that sort of range dip slightly. When breaking down the skill tree further, the first perk is called Third Eye, which allows for the radar to stay active when you're aiming down sights, and obviously this is much more effective in PvP situations, even though better players typically don't really need it. And the next three perks which you'll have a choice over are Lightweight, which grants a +2 character agility. There isn't really a quantifiable measure of that yet, but just know you go a lot faster. And it helps you move a lot faster, and especially in terms of firefights with strafing abilities, that'll help you an awful lot. And it also helps a ton in running strikes and dailies if you want to do them as quickly as possible on PvE. And what it helps an awful lot the most, I'd say, when paired with the actual last perk, which I'll get to in a second, it helps you gain map control spots much better. So getting to a particular sniper lane spot in the map on trials or something like that, getting to that spot quicker gives you the advantage. The next perk is Quick Draw, which allows the weapon to be drawn really quickly. And lastly, Field Scout, which increases the magazine size from 21 to 27. The weapon equip speed of 100% sort of takes away the need for Quick Draw, though you can use it over Lightweight if you really want, but Lightweight would be my choice. The last perk of note, called Mida multi-tool, pairs well with Lightweight because it boosts the movement speed of your character further and allows you to fire on a hair trigger without actually pressing the trigger in completely on the controller. But again, Paired with lightweight makes you move even faster. Strafing in gunfights makes you very difficult to hit unless you're paired up with someone using Mida Multi-Tool. So the speed is what this weapon grants and brings to the table, so take advantage of that. Lastly, it isn't noted in the perks, but the weapon does cause significant flinching when enemies are hit by rounds. Most enemies getting hit by these rounds are too busy flinching to be able to fire back accurately, so that's something to note, especially in PvE. With regard to my overall impressions, in PvE it's fantastic to run strikes with because you can go through it much faster. The low DPS per shot but fast fire rate allow for good overall sustained DPS as long as you're accurate, with the aforementioned flinch effect added. You'll find yourself in trouble against higher level enemy mobs, especially as part of King's Fall, because it doesn't really have great perks for PvE such as Firefly to clear out mobs. But staying at range and picking off enemies one by one is very quick, very efficient, very easy. You can bring it pretty much anywhere in PvE with little actual downside, but I do prefer other weapons in PvE just because you can plug and play and destroy mobs, destroy high bosses, and you don't have to change your playstyle at all with other weapons. In PvE, this weapon actually has a cult, or PvP, this weapon actually has a cult following. Just look it up for yourself. It has a good enough fire rate and good enough damage model to be a big DPS threat similar to PvE, and its max range that you'd want to account for is that medium to slightly longer range. If you're engaging at very long range, you will be sniper bait if you aren't consistent in hitting your target, despite the fact that you can if you're a good shot. I wouldn't go into extreme longer ranges, just stay in that medium to slightly longer range. The increased mobility, as mentioned earlier, makes you a tougher target to hit. When paired with a shotgun or a sniper rifle, it gives you that all ranges covered type of feel. Without a shotgun, though, you will struggle in close range, but retreating while firing against very aggressive players in an open area still give you a chance to kill him before he kills you. The increased mobility is the key to the weapon, though, of course, because it gives you so many different options in terms of both playstyles and potential loadout to max your abilities out. So overall, in year one, I didn't feel too highly about this weapon because there were so many better weapons that could have been used that didn't take an exotic slot, like Fatebringer, Vision of Confluence. They didn't use up the exotic slot, and then it freed up your exotic slot to use Icebreaker or Galahorn. It was a detriment to use this weapon over the other weapons that were available at that point, especially in PvE. But now that the game has been better balanced out, and there aren't really a dominant 1 to 2 weapons that you absolutely had to use per weapon slot anymore, I've definitely come to realize what I definitely overlooked in my previous review when it came to Mida Multi-Tool. There's a lot to like about this weapon's versatility, utility, and just the overall changes in terms of potential playstyles and loadout that it offers, because it can really change the dynamic of how fast you get to an area, how fast you can target, and how you can sort of juke away from enemies shooting at you. It gives you something that other weapons don't, and that's what's unique about it. Have a good one.